Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome to Saturday Hodgepodge, where I talk about some booktube stuff, some reading stuff. It's just kind of what I started doing once a week, and I enjoy kind of catching up on and doing a lot of booktubey type stuff this day. So what I thought to do today is do a do a wrap up of my December reading and a TBR for my January reading. And then I have a channel shout out or a channel recommendation I want to make, and then just a little bit of a discussion about some plans for the rest of the year. Not really one of those people who sets goals. So just real quickly, as a wrap up for my December reading, and in part I wanted to do this because I had such an extraordinarily good reading December. There was not one book that I read in the month of December which was bad, which I didn't enjoy reading. And so that reading started off with The Lost Children Archive by Valeria Luiselli. If you saw my video about my top 10 books of the year, this is one of the books that made that list, and I just thought it was really, really good. I know they're kind of mixed, been mixed responses to the book on BookTube, but I really just thought it was good, and it really worked for me. So I also was really incredibly moved by this book of what's called concrete poetry by Heimrad Bacher, called Transcript, which basically uses the words of German Nazi government officials in their just kind of common everyday discussion about the events of the Holocaust to really kind of bring that tragedy home in a really effective way. I almost unintentionally participated in Cloak and Dagger Christmas by reading 3 novels, which could classify as 2 of them are clearly mystery novels. I started on the Georges Simenon Maigret detective series by reading Peter the Latvian. I enjoyed that. I didn't think it was great, but I enjoyed reading it. I also read Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk, which is kind of a mystery, and I think I'm going to post a review of this either next Tuesday or Thursday. This is a book I definitely want to have at least a short review up of. And then I also read, right here at the end of the month of December, I read Heaven My Home by Attica Locke. This is the second in her Highway 59 detective series featuring an African-American Texas Ranger and the cases he follows involving the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas in an attempt to eliminate that racist organization. These are very good, and since they're set in an area of Texas which I grew up in and still call home, they mean even more to me because I recognize a lot of the features, a lot of the place names and things like that from the book. And then I had a great buddy read with Britta Bowler of The House of Mirth, which I may go on a review and post that review sometime this month as well, because I really, really thought this was great and was really pleased to finally get into reading Edith Wharton, who I have neglected for quite some time. So that was my kind of a wrap-up of my December reading. I had a great month of December. I actually read one more book than I usually read. Being a slow reader, 5 books a month is about all I can usually average, but I got in 6 books last month, so that's good. And that probably made me a little bit too overly optimistic about my January TBR. So in discussing my January TBR, there'll be some kind of discussion of plans and things I intend to participate in, and then I'll mention a channel recommendation, and then just some real briefly talk about some of my plans for my channel. So the first book that I decided to read this month, and you can see I'm already more than halfway through, is Devil's Daughter by Lisa Kleypas, or Kleypas? Not sure which. This is I believe, a Regency romance novel. And the reason why I'm reading this Regency romance novel is that one of my goals this year is to read books from genres that I've never really read before, and romance would be one of those areas where I've never really read a book before, and so I wanted to get that one done right away here in January. I also want to read a horror novel. I've never done that. I want to read a YA novel, because I don't think I've read a YA novel since I was YA. I don't mean that as a shot at all. I just don't think I have. And then true crime. I want to do that. And then any other genre that I can think of that I don't usually read from. Oh, I want to read a sci-fi book, because even though I have read sci-fi, it's been quite some time. So that's why I'm reading this book, and I will definitely have some thoughts about this next Saturday. And then I want to read Jeanette Winterson's first book and my first Jeanette Winterson book, Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. This comes highly recommended, as does Jeanette Winterson in general, so I wanted to read that this month. Britta Bowler and Mel from Mel's Bookline Adventure are kind of doing a year-long readathon where they're trying to read more German authors or more works of literature or books published in German. I have and been planning to read The Emigrants by W.G. Sebald, who was an Austrian writer, and I believe this book was originally published in German. And if not, well, I'm going to read it anyway. But yeah, it's translated from the German by Michael Halsey. And so I'm going to read that, and because I kind of want to participate in that read German literature or read German books read along they have going, because to be honest with you, I haven't read a lot of German authors other than Sebald, so I want to do that. I also want to try to get to Milkman by Anna Burns. This comes highly recommended by lots of people, not the least of which Sean the Book Maniac. And I bought a copy and I intended to read it in January, and that's still my plan, but I'm not positive. I also want to read Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by John Le Carré. I read my first John Le Carré, I believe in August of last year, which was The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, and I want to read this because Jason from Old Blues Chapter and Verse and I and some other readers are planning on reading another John Le Carré novel, which is supposed to be kind of his best, his masterwork. I think Jason's read it once before, and I wanted to give myself some backgrounding on Le Carré's work. I did enjoy The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. And then also, in my attempt to read books by booktubers, I want to read this book. It's called The Book Traveler, a Thomas Howard adventure by our own Alan Morton. Alan Morton is a booktuber and an independent author, and I am a big fan of his channel, and so I want to read his book as well. So that's my January TBR, which also contains 6 books, which is somewhat problematic for me, being a slow reader. There's a new channel here on BookTube, which I really want to draw your attention to. This is a channel by a long-term commenter. She commented on the channels of many of our, comment on the videos on many of our channels. She's Tilly's mom. Her name is Roz Cook, and her channel is called Scandydandling About Books, which is Scandydandling must be an English expression. But I've already watched her first video, and Roz is awesome, and so please follow the link in the description box down below and go check out her channel and follow her if it seems like she does the kind of booktube videos you'd be interested in. I think she's great, and I'm looking forward to that. I did want to make one more announcement about a plan I had for my channel. I'd kind of thrown the idea out there about doing a series about short stories on my channel to kind of replace the Poetry for Beginners videos that I did most of 2019. I have one more of those videos I want to do for sure. And then these short story videos I wanted to do. I asked for suggestions of short stories, and I got so many that I can't possibly do all those short stories. And while I realize they're just short stories, I'm only going to do one short story a month this year, and then just continue the project on into next year. And I received specific requests not to make them all male American authors, and I'm going to fulfill half of that. They will not all be male authors, but they will all be Americans this year. And then next year, I will begin picking up stories by writers who are not Americans. For instance, William Trevor, Edna O'Brien, Alice Munro are on my list of authors to add, and there were so many other suggestions. I'm going to just continue the project next year, and next year's project will be non-American authors. If you're wondering why I chose American authors this year, it's because those are the authors I'm most familiar with and whose stories I'm most likely to have read. So I will put up a video announcing, you know, which story I'm going to read each month this year, read and discuss. So if you wanted to, you could follow along and read that story with me, and then I'd really love to see your contributions to that discussion in the comment section. Anyway, there you go. That's my Saturday hodgepodge for today. Really look forward to your comments in the comment section below, and as always, thank you for watching.